can dance if we want to. If we don't, somebody will. Cause Republicans are rude and should be removed and act like they're imbecile. I say, Malcolm Nance, Trump is under Putin's control. We can dance while Stephanie dances with a pole. Well, it's the Malcolm Nance. It's the Malcolm Nance. Well, it's the Malcolm Nance.
Hiya, Malcolm. Hi, sailor.
Why, hello. What's going on?
You know, we talked about this, I believe, you and I last week, but I brought my Arlington Cemetery pass to see my mom and my dad. And we just had Charlotte Clymer on, who, you know,
yes.
did this beautiful thread about how reverently,
Gosh, she did.
you know, the troops treat the remains of their fallen comrades. And, you know, he always doubles and triples down, right? Blames the Gold Star families, blames the Biden administration, says he was set up. And I love this. Donald Trump now says he was at Arlington to celebrate the anniversary of the soldiers' deaths.
Yes.
What is wrong with him, Malcolm?
Well, first, let me just start by saying Charlotte Clymer's tweet thread where she told everyone she was a soldier who used to do burials at Arlington Cemetery was one of the best things I've read.
Yeah.
And it was fulfilling, it was heartfelt, it was beautiful. And I wrote right back to her immediately. I tweeted right back and thanked her for her service because, you know, it's very hard being a soldier assigned to Arlington Cemetery because you're working every day. You have to maintain incredible polish. And you're not a toy soldier. You are the representatives who transport the honor of the nation with that burial. And I've been there a few times.
When they hand the flag to my mom, a grateful nation thanks you. That's what it's all about.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. And it's very, very important that we understand the basis of the reverence and the solemnness of that cemetery. You know, on the morning of 9/11, when I was at the Pentagon after the attack, they thought a second aircraft was coming. We had to leave the Pentagon grounds and go up into the southwest corner of the cemetery.
Yeah.
So it was a refuge for us on that morning. So with all of that said, Donald Trump is out of his goddamn mind. I mean, he just comes up there. I don't understand how people who were in the military can view any of this as him being a patriot or him being, you know, serving the families.
Who uses the word celebrate? You don't celebrate someone's death. Like, he doesn't speak like a human, even. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, look, you know, my wife's buried in a national cemetery. There's virtually no talking there, except for, you know, every once in a while somebody might be whispering to their loved one who's buried there. You don't hear people having discussions, much less photo ops, smiling, thumbs up. It's disgusting. It's not for the family to take that photograph. You're standing on 3 graves behind you. There is virtually no gap, maybe 2 feet between graves. So it's disgusting. It's disgraceful. But how many times can we say this about him?
Yeah.
He has no honor. He has no sense of honor. And he really doesn't love the troops. He wraps himself in a flag. But what he really does is he views us like little lead toy soldiers and their graves that can be, you know, brought out and literally pushed aside a military officer who was part of the staff. Then when she objected, the campaign came out and said she was mentally ill.
Yeah,
What's
I know.
wrong with him?
It is amazing to me.
Every person needs to shout that down.
Yeah, I'm still amazed. They literally can make any story 10 times worse by, you know, a 24-hour news cycle. I mean, seriously, they've said 10 even more despicable things since this happened. Yeah, I mean, and Charlotte made a good point, Malcolm. She was saying that even her Republican friends are disgusted by this, as it should be. She said this is not partisan. I mean, I was just, you know, thinking about how our dialogue has gotten. was a maggot on, I think, because I've talked about this, because I just interred my mom there with my dad. And so some maggots like, why is Stephanie's dad buried there? He didn't even become vice president. Like, he served in World War II. He was a Nuremberg prosecutor.
Right.
Like, F you. But it's like, this is what his party has become, right? It's just, I mean, Trump used this thing again to slam, I don't know, Gold Star families, say he was celebrating it also. And then he went on to say Kamala lied about McDonald's, that she worked at McDonald's. No, she didn't.
What the?
But it's like, it's just this.
McDonald's.
There just is not only small ball, it's just always mean and petty and just, anyway.
It's desperate, and they were saying just this morning on Morning Joe, the attacks are just starting.
Yeah.
He's going for vitriol. He's going to try to tear apart one individual at a time, the coalition that is building her. And he is quintupled down, all right, that he believes hate, negative statements, and appealing to the white supremacist base that follow him is going to be his salvation. And let's be honest, people, he only has to do it, to the tune of about 45,000 people, which was the margin that Joe Biden won in 2020. She could get 100 million votes this year. I wouldn't be surprised if she was on track to bring it up from 81 to 100 million. But if it's not in those strategic places that the Electoral College has now put into play to where being the actual winner of a Democratic election no longer matters, then we're going to be in very serious trouble, because this election is about the existential question of, do you want the American democracy to exist after November 5th?
Yeah.
And if we lose, the question is, no, we don't want it. We want a dictatorship.
I mean, you are correct, Malcolm. The Electoral College is so this year more than ever to go a convicted felon, rapist, traitor to this country who tried to overthrow the United States government because of 3 states, it could defeat the sitting vice president of the United States. When people say, oh, she's not qualified, I'm like, who is qualified? Right? Attorney General, Senator, Vice President, like, really? It just, the fact that this could even be close, I know, is profoundly depressing to a lot of us, right?
Well, it just shows the nature of the rot. And the greatest part of the rot is the question of the fact that the Electoral College can actually be superseded by this movement to not certify the votes and throw it to the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
You know what? Between you and me, and I don't know who would ever consider that legitimate if it happened. I know I wouldn't. Yeah. And I'm saying that as a person who's dedicated his life, my family's life, for 152 years to defending this nation. We are coming to the point of breakdown. Yeah. And they deliberately broke this down. Yeah. This is what Trump's corruption is. It's to turn everything to his own advantage. And he has people that are willing, I'm sorry to say it, are willing to kill over this.
Well, this brings me to the scariest story ever written by Malcolm Nance.
Oh, God.
Shouty, come on. Although I feel like we need more shouty, because when Mitt Romney warns, it sounds like he's, complaining that his amuse-bouche is a substandard temperature at the Deerfield Country Club. When you say it, you just wrote a piece, Trump wins, a start of the second American Civil War you didn't consider. Malcolm, you said, sorry to spoil the joy. My job is to warn you of threats that may emerge should things go poorly on November 5th. This stack may be the single most serious, sober analysis I've ever written. It's the Liberty Bell pealing and right about to crack. I have frightened myself silly just by writing it. Okay, if you scared the out of yourself, imagine what this did to me. I just had a home invasion. All right, go ahead.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. And, I'd marry you, but what's the use of having dead bodies all over your front yard? So you got big fuzzy dogs to scare them off.
That'd be a different story. They just sent me the police report. That'd be a different story. Here's what has happened. I have a sailor here who is a spy. And he killed both of them with his little finger. I'm sorry, we didn't.
Okay. Moving on. Yeah, my Substack story, which, we have all this hope and joy going on, and I think it's awesome. And we need to, hey, like they said in Chicago, right? All gas, no brakes from here out.
Yep.
We are pushing everything. But I have to warn you, there is a consequence here. No one in media is talking about this. I touched on it last week. If Trump wins, which he's now, I'm seeing them really pushing the mass deportation thing. The news media is not even asking questions about deporting 12 million undocumented immigrants and their family members, and quite possibly forcing Americans to go with them, including veterans.
Yeah.
Those people have access to weapons.
Yeah.
Those people will not allow you to hunt them on the street, or hunt them in their homes, or hunt them with gangs of militiamen who will be self-deputized and deputized by a Trump White House to hunt other people here and put them into camps. There will be battles all across this country, just on the premise. It won't scare them. These people will defend their wives and kids, and then other Americans who are against this will defend them.
Aye.
This is not something, why this is not being discussed on MSNBC. It's part of Project 2025, but it's the first major item of Agenda 47.
Right.
Yeah.
His own platform could lead this country to the brink, not the brink, into civil war by this pleasant thought they have of hunting down their undocumented neighbors who are dropping $6 trillion into $6 billion into Social Security every year in services they don't get.
Yep.
Pro tip, do not read Malcolm's Substack right before bed when you've had a home invasion. Member FDIC, some settling may have occurred. Okay. This is, literally everything is at stake, as you say, Malcolm. I mean, I loved what somebody said, if you don't want to live in The Handmaid's Tale, but want to be able to read the book, vote for Kamala Harris. But noted Russian asset Tucker Carlson fawned over Daryl Cooper recently, who he described as the best and most honest, popular historian in the United States. In which the interview in which Cooper identified Winston Churchill as the chief villain of World War II.
What?
Yep.
And appeared to argue the Holocaust was an accident.
Guy said it was an accident because the Germans those super efficient Germans were unprepared to take millions of Russian prisoners, so it was just better to execute them. He literally said that. The very words were said by that man. What is wrong with the right wing now? They're crazy. They adore murder. They are adoring the concept of genocidal fascism. And these people are theoretically Americans. If this had been said 20 years ago, he would have been smacked in the face. But now we have Tucker Carlson advocating this, advocating Putin love, advocating attacks on their own fellow American citizens. I'm telling you, y'all better get out the vote. Or this stuff is going, look, it's 63 days, ticking down quite possibly to the end of the American Republic, people.
Yeah, we had George Conway on for the first time, and he didn't realize till the end of the interview who my dad was. And I said, my dad was a Nuremberg prosecutor. I'm just automatically on the side without the Nazis. You know.
Roger that.
Quickly, I was going to say, we obviously just had this, horrific killing of the hostages. The U.S. has charged Hamas leader and other militants in connection with the October 7th massacre. We all saw this heartbreaking speech by, the hostage parents at the DNC. Give me cut 12. This is Anderson Cooper.
Rachel, yesterday at the funeral, said that she hopes that Hirsch's death will be what she called a turning point in this horrible situation. And John said maybe, just maybe, your death, meaning Hirsch's death, is the stone, the fuel that will bring home the remaining 101 hostages. Do you think that's possible? Do you feel like something may be different now for Omer and the others?
It's not a clear path. We're seeing still many challenges in the region. We're seeing a prime minister that is not willing to make the compromises needed to reach a deal to bring our son and the other hostages back.
Yep. You obviously you see hundreds of thousands in the streets in Tel Aviv protesting Netanyahu. I mean, just give us your take on where we are in this horrifying situation.
Okay, well, right from the start, before everybody starts saying Netanyahu is responsible here, the only people that are responsible for the death of the hostages are the terrorists who took them. Terrorists. Now, you can segregate your politics. I don't like Netanyahu. I don't like how he carried out this war. But by God, the people who started this are the terrorists. The people who executed 6 innocent people, made them do videos before they knelt them down and shot them in the head multiple times. Be advised, there is a video of all of their executions out there.
Yeah.
All right? We don't have to, look, these people are pawns in a geopolitical game in which one side spent billions of dollars to build terrorist tunnels to hide, which is how these hostages were killed. They saw the Israeli army approaching their position, knelt them down, and shot each one of them in the head. 2 women, 4 men, including an American citizen.
Yeah.
If you cannot agree that that is unacceptable, then you know what? You're siding with the terrorists. And we have kids now going back to school at Columbia now, right? White kids wearing kufiyas supporting these terrorists. Y'all need to recalibrate yourself. Oh, by the way, same kids now all hate Kamala Harris, right? Somebody needs to understand here that you don't support terrorists and then you don't root for the end of American democracy in the same sentence.
One of the things that struck me was the hostage parents speaking out for Palestinian people during their speech as well. And I just think you don't have a partner for a 2-state solution in Netanyahu or Hamas. And I agree with you, Hamas are terrorists, period. But it just it just gets more. You think it can't get more heartbreaking, and it does.
When I went to Kfar Aza, I stood in the house that was burned to the ground where both the husband and wife were executed. And the woman was one of the biggest pro-Palestine activists. And she had just built a center for autistic children and children with mental health issues from Gaza to come over to Israel to be treated. And it was the construction workers that turned her in and had her killed.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry, I'm way long, as I always am with you,
Yes.
because I love you. I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Yes, don't
Malcolm.
get robbed again.
All right. All right, 53 minutes after the hour. This